So originally this video was going to be about the search for the Gravity Falls logo image, but while working on it, my amazing friend TrickenGF actually found it! This is quite possibly the biggest GF media find since the next time Unreal leaked in April, so this video is now going to also be about how we found it. But before we get to that, let me tell you the story of how we got to this point. From here on out till the timestamp you see on the screen now, I'll talk about the initial search based on my original video plan. I never imagined we'd actually do it for real, but here we are. So with that said, here's the story I was originally going to tell before we made this massive discovery. Here's the story of how the search for the Gravity Falls logo background image originally began. This is the DadGFN logo. I made it myself in December 2019 as I worried about whether or not I had passed my first semester university exams. I did, by the way. I made it using the letters from the logos of DuckTales, Hilda, Amphibia, The Ghost and Molly McGee, Gravity Falls, Phineas and Ferb, Milo Murphy's Law, and Infinity Train. These were my favorite shows then, and the idea was to make it represent a more multi-fandom direction I was taking at the time, which, as you can see, worked because the channel is primarily Gravity Falls. But the point is, while the logo is comprised of parts of other logos, it's put together in a way that makes it identifiable as my channel's. And similarly, so is the Gravity Falls logo. It's inspired in its look by large letter postcards from the 20th century, but yet it still feels like its own thing, and is easily identifiable as such. In my opinion, that makes it an almost timeless logo compared to those of other Disney cartoons. You could show someone who hasn't seen the logo on a postcard, and there's a possibility they'll think it's a real place because of that style to it. As someone who loves old school Americana things like this, it's great. But if you look closely at the Gravity Falls logo, you'll notice one other feature it shares with those postcards. There's an image within it. Now, all large letter postcards have this aspect to them, with some having many images in them and others just slopping one within them. The GF logo is the latter. Looking at it, it has a mountainous feel to it. It's like it's set in, unsurprisingly, the Pacific Northwest. You see the snowy surface of a tall mountain in the distance, the side of hills on the right, and the top of pine trees on the left. It feels Gravity Falls-like, but it also doesn't look edited or drawn. There's too much detail in my opinion for that. It looks real. It's like it's a real image of a mountain in the Pacific Northwest that's inside of the logo. But is it? Is it a real place? Is it a real image the crew slapped into the background or a very well made edit? Is it real? And if so, where is it? And so, in this video, we're going to spend the next several minutes overanalyzing a logo, like how all of you said I overanalyzed a paragraph in the Fly video. I mean, it's Gravity Falls, it's what we do as fans, so deal with it. Now, we'll be focusing on the main GF logo image as it's the one that fans see and know about the most, and not the two from the pilot and the early days of production, as those look a bit more edited and are not as high-res enough where we might be able to distinguish features in them. Though the mountains and the backgrounds of them too look pretty real if we're being honest. Anyways, my investigation into the logo image began in 2021 on Discord. God, 2021 feeling that long ago feels crazy. After YouTuber CellC1 made a video on how the seed to the pack.png image for Minecraft had been found, I had been inspired to try and use the GF fandom's vast community to try and do similar things with tracking down lost stuff related to it. We had already gotten Alex Hirsch's David Letterman appearance in 2020, one of the only good things about that year to be honest, but there was a lot more to find. Some have been successful like the Slenderman image source, and McGucket Hoax image's original 4chan post being found. I had seen some people wondering about the GF logo image and figured, why not we try to find that next? So I made it a challenge, and me and some friends on the server began looking. I also tweeted at Alex Hirsch about it, though this was 2 years before him and I actually spoke, so he never replied. Foreshadow, by the way, on where the search will end up taking us. I also made a post on Reddit asking the same thing. However, in my experience, Reddit can be a bit of a hit or a miss. I mean, it was someone on Reddit who helped us track the Letterman clip down, but in this case, beyond one lead, I never got anything else. But it was an interesting lead. The user suggested that it was an image of Mount Rainier in Washington state. While they were not certain about it, it was a good place to start the search. So several people began searching for images of Mount Rainier, and the terrain did match. Rainier is as snowy looking as the mountain in the logo, has hills around it that look similar, and has pine trees in the area that in some places almost align perfectly with what the image looks like. Our working theory was that Alex or a crew member took or found an image of Mount Rainier or a similar mountain and used it for the logo image. Eventually we had another lead. While not the image itself, someone had found a link to a remake of the image made on DeviantArt, and the name of the user was a familiar one. It was an old account once owned by my friend Inner Element. He had made a remake of the logo way back around 2015. Back then I didn't know him as well, so my friend N7Spongy spoke to him, and from that, he directed us to an even better one made by a YouTuber named Fizzy. At first glance, it's pretty convincing. Fizzy had made it for a GF logo tutorial video they made years back to help people make their own version of it, and it looked very close to what the real image we assumed was. I reached out to them recently to see if they still had the original images they used for it, and incredibly, Fizzy got back to me saying they did. They were incredible and looked very close in many ways to the GF logo image. However, of course, they were all of separate locations merged together to make the image. The working theory we had was that the real one was either a real image, or something similar but not as heavily edited. So, while this was not the slam dunk conclusion to the case we were hoping, we did now have a very good quality remake of the image and the original images used to make it. Going back to the 2021 search, my friend Linda Lynn posted an image shortly after this discovery that, while at the time we didn't think much about as we probably should have, might have actually been the closest we got now that I look back at it all for the script. It was an image of Mount Hefty in Skagway, Alaska, on the border with British Columbia. While it looked close, Lynn did mention that the mountain in the image looked a bit off to what we see in the GF logo. So either this was at a different place or a mountain in the range that looked similar to Hefty, was the same place but of an image taken at a different time, or that it had been photoshopped by Alex or a crew member to look more like what we saw in the logo. In looking at more images of Mount Hefty, it honestly looked a lot closer to being it than Mount Rainier does. The terrain around it matches up pretty well, the hills have many trees that look similar, and overall, it somehow feels more Gravity Falls-like despite being in Alaska, though that may be because it's in the area of Alaska near BC, which is still in the Pacific Northwest region. It was an incredible discovery, and quite frankly, my personal take on it at the time was that this was it, or very close. But that was more or less it. We didn't have much else to go on. One suggestion was that we try asking Ian Worrell, as he was the show's art director and likely knew about the image more so and even possibly have even created the GF logo. But while he has an Instagram page that I did message him about it on, he never got back, so the search sort of ended there. Our best guess was that this was either Mount Rainier, Mount Hefty, or a similar mountain in the area being the location of the Gravity Falls logo image. But until we could get confirmation from the crew on that, or even if the image is real, it was simply a guess. And with that, the search more or less ended and became forgotten about after a while. That was until this year. See, while writing the script for this video, Lynn and I got talking again, and she was able to determine that the image that she had found in 2021 was actually taken in 2014. So it couldn't have been the one used by the crew. But to say it wasn't close would be a lie, cause I mean, look at it. But it did open the doors to the possibility that perhaps it was an older image that was used of the same mountain, or a similar one, that in turn would also explain the differences. So we began to search. Around the same time, my friend and longtime GF fandom contact Tricken let us know of another interesting observation he made. International Gravity Falls logos. With the show being translated into as many languages as it has been, Gravity Falls does have multiple variants of its logo in various languages. And what Tricken noticed was that some of them show more of the background than the English variant does. For example, on the German logo, you can see a bit more of the trees and hill on both sides of it. The Greek version shows clearly that there appears to be a second smaller hill nearby, and the Japanese logo shows the top of the mountain peaks, which in turn shows there to be more in this massive range of mountains. So it's possible in that sense that Mount Hefty isn't exactly it, or it could be something similar in a similar range. Then we found a higher res version of the Russian GF logo, and well, look at it! You can see more clearly the hill on the left, and better detail than even in the English logo in some areas. All of this personally has me convinced at this point that the image is real. There's no way it could have been photoshopped or edited this heavily. There's too much natural detail. It looks real. So we were more or less certain at this point the logo image is indeed real. And alongside that, by this point, I had also now contacted the one man on Earth who may know more about this image. Ian Worrell. Back in April, someone had posted on the Gravity Falls Reddit asking for help on finding who made the original Cypher Hunt puzzle. Specifically, who made the original art for it, as they were trying to find the artist to get a clearer version of the puzzle design. Someone had made me aware of it and had a possible guess as to who it was. In the Gravity Falls box set, Ian Worrell had mentioned how he had helped Alex in working out the specifics of Cypher Hunt, and even thought up the idea for the puzzle and the codes.
I still have the spreadsheet, like, in my Google Drive.
He made a spreadsheet.
It's
for
complicated,
Treasure
a lot
Hunt.
of moving parts.
How long did it take us to plan it, to put all the pieces together, do you think? It was a
mean,
long project.
Including you, like, getting the statue, installing it, it was like 9 months.
So it was certain that he had created the puzzle. I left a comment and didn't think much else about it, but to my surprise a few hours later, the OP replied to my comment saying I was not only right, but that Ian had emailed them back a high-res copy of the print. And to say I was stunned would be an understatement, as how the hell did they get Ian's email? Turns out it was linked on his ArtStation profile all along. So, realizing that and remembering the old logo hunt, I decided to give it a shot and email Ian Worrell about the Gravity Falls logo image to see if he still had it. It took a few days, but he eventually got back. According to Ian, the logo image, or forest image as he put it, was pulled from Alex Hirsch's original logo file from when he pitched Gravity Falls in 2010, but beyond that, he didn't know where he got it from, nor did he have it, as Disney most likely did. In the same email, I also asked Ian about variations of the GF logo, given some early Season 1 posters used a different version of it to the one in the theme song. This one aligns more with the one seen in the theme song Automatic by Joe Pitt. To that, Ian said the following. Discrepancies in logo design are a consequence of rushing out in-progress designs to meet different needs. Marketing would ask us for the latest version so they could print a poster, and then a different version might be used for Comic-Con if the logo looks finished enough. The final one, and the one the executives care most about, is what shows up on your TV. There are maybe a couple dozen versions of the logo that were ultimately scrapped for the one that looked most like Alex's original. So there we are. The Gravity Falls logo seemed to have had many variations to it, but most importantly, the image for the logo dates back to 2010 when Alex pitched the show. This therefore means only one of two things happened. Either the logo image was one that Alex Hirsch or someone he knew had taken and that he used in the logo, or it was taken by someone else, and was just a random image he found online that looked Gravity Falls-like that he slapped into the background when he was making the pilot and it just became the image. Knowing Alex Hirsch, it was probably the latter, and if so, hopefully it was a public domain image and not one taken by some photographer who may have a field day filing a lawsuit over their image being used without permission. Anyways, either way, this does mean that the logo image, edited or real, does exist. But where the original is, remains a mystery. I mean, the only option beyond this would be to ask Alex Hirsch himself, but he's a busy guy, and while yeah, I did talk to him, am I really gonna email Alex Hirsch and ask him about this random of a question? No, I wasn't. I wasn't gonna email Alex Hirsch. So I DM'd him instead. I hadn't actually spoken to Alex since we organized the interview because, of course, I didn't want to come off as annoying. But I figured if there was any shot at getting to the bottom of this, I had to ask him. So I did. I told Alex about the image and what Ian had told me, and after a little while, Alex got back to me and his answer was, well, inconclusive to put it mildly. Basically, Alex said, alongside thanking me for my work in the GF fandom, which was amazing to hear and a real motivation booster at the time given I was going through some shit and had the flu, that basically if the image still existed, it most likely was in a dead laptop in storage. While he said that he'd probably look for it the next time he was at the location where it was likely at, that was more or less the end of the search on Alex's end. It was likely either the image was in a folder on some ancient hard drive he had that he hadn't touched since Gravity Falls ended, but it could also very likely be lost or sitting in an assets file at Disney TVA. But to put it mildly, Alex's answer, while not confirming if the image is real or edited, does at least answer that he most likely found or created it. So where do we go from here? Well, where we go from here is what Tricken did next. He managed to create a rough image of what the background looked like using the various versions of the Gravity Falls logo we had found online. From there, he pieced the image together as best he could and created this. He shared this with us on October 3rd. From there, it was now a matter of when, rather than if we'd find it. Then, on October 4th, at 2:32 a.m., while I was of all things, watching a documentary on Titanic, I kid you not, Tricken found it. The original background image used for the Gravity Falls logo. There it was in all its glory. From what he said initially, the source was a science blog that no longer existed. Some friends of mine also found some other uses of the image on Pinterest and Flickr, so that was interesting to see. Using a black and white version of his remake, he had managed to track it down. Then the definitive source was found, and with it, the name of the original image. Landscape Mountains 0009 on textures.com. We had it. As my friend N7 Spongy called it, it was a mystery as old as the show itself, finally solved. The long-lost Gravity Falls logo image was in fact a textures image on a textures site. This therefore meant that either Alex Hirsch downloaded the pic from the site in 2010 when making the pilot, or found it in an assets file or something of textures and it just stuck. But we still needed to confirm it. It looked right, but was the age of the image so that it could have been online in 2010 when the GF pilot was in development? For that, we needed the full image. At that point, my friend and Alpharelli Tunes member Alex M offered to buy it for us. After a little while, he got it, and now we had the full original image. With that, we can now analyze the metadata for clues. And oh boy, did we find some stuff. The metadata showed that the image was taken by a Nikon D70 type camera, but most importantly, there was a date for when it was taken. April 18th, 2007. So, this image was taken in April of 2007 and in turn, well before the Gravity Falls pilot was in development, meaning it also fit the time period we needed. What's more, my friend Fried Oreos also managed to confirm the image was posted at least as far back as 2008 onto the texture site, so it even in that sense fit the criteria. There is no doubt about it at this point. This was the image used in the Gravity Falls logo. Now, the metadata did show that the image was run through Photoshop, but the existence of a camera name and model in the data did at least tell us that no matter what editing was done to it, this was still a real image of a real place. So now the question was, where is this? And here's where the search really picked up steam. Tricken, Alex, and Oreo got to work. The first clue we had was that the image name being Landscape Mountains 0009 implied that there were more images than just it. And there were. A lot more. But primarily, focus was put on images that were taken around the same day as the logo image was. That in turn would imply their locations couldn't be too far from each other, and so would likely mean that if one image could be found, we could find the others, including our target. At this point, the images were analyzed for any distinctive details. Road sign analysis even was put into play to try and use maybe a sign on a specific place as a way to find it. From analyzing one road sign in an image, it was assumed the location had to be in Europe, specifically either in Spain or France most likely. The area near the border between the two countries matched very well, so this in turn meant that the Pacific Northwest was ruled out completely, and so were other places like the Himalayas or even the Alps. Alex also found an image taken a month before the GF logo image was taken that was taken in Spain, so the range in question now was most likely the Pyrenees Mountains. Other signs on other images also added fuel to this, and soon the three of them had found areas near the border that were getting closer and closer. Alex found an image taken near the border of a place called Puerto de Portale, and that was near the end of the photographer's photo set. Finding locations of other images could then help piece together their journey. Soon, Oreo found more images that helped narrow this down that were taken on the same day as the logo image. As well as that, he found photos taken at a ski resort near the location that had similar features. And then, at 9:09 PM EST, they had it. And in an almost similar mirror of SalC1's pack.png search, they found it while I was out for Nuit Blanche that evening, like how SalC1 was at a party when they found that image. Naturally, I was beyond excited when I got back and saw what the three of them had done. The location led to a bend along the D918 Balcony Road as it's called. It's located within an area comprised of the small commune of Surs, Hautes-Pyrénées. I so butchered that French. Sadly, the view from Street View isn't exactly it, so I suspect the photographer was much closer perhaps. What's more, the only Street View taken in April was in 2008, a year after the image was taken, and while close, it is horrible quality. However, the May 2015 version is a bit cleaner and gives you an idea what the mountain looked like with snow on it, and yeah, it's very close to how it looked in 2007 in my opinion when the photo was taken. I also checked on Google Earth, and as you can see, the terrain looks very much like the image. My guess is that the photo was not taken exactly on the road, but likely taken not too far away either. But either way, we have it. This is where it was taken. This little valley within the Pyrenees mountain range was where the Gravity Falls logo image came from. It was never Oregon, the Pacific Northwest, or anywhere in the United States or Canada. It was goddamn France. The last country, I gotta be honest, that I'd ever have expected it to be in. But then, that's the beauty with this kind of search, as you learn something new with it. I never knew about the Pyrenees Mountains before this, and now I do, and I can't believe how beautiful they are. This whole area is just incredible. And to think, I maybe never would have found out about this, and maybe many of you wouldn't have found out about this or known of its existence, had it not been for Gravity Falls. When Alex Hirsch or another crew member picked this image to be the one to use in the Gravity Falls logo, I doubt they ever imagined where it was. It was just an image of some terrain that looked Oregon-like enough to work, and they likely never thought about where it was again. And yet, now we know not only where this image is, but what it is of, when it was taken, and how it was taken. April 18th, 2007, near the town of Surs, France, by a photographer using a Nikon D70 camera that ended up either taking it for or selling it to textures.com, where it's now an image people can use for textures, or in this case, as the background of a logo for a massively successful Disney cartoon. I want to take a moment to thank the amazing people who made this discovery possible. Although I was the one who started this search back in 2021, there have been many other fans before and since who have tried to find this. And while this discovery was made over on my server as part of my search, the real credit goes to the following people. TrickenGF, for finding the image using his international logos technique to isolate the image and remake it enough that it could be reverse searched and found. Alex M, for buying the image for us in full HD so we could analyze the metadata and determine when it was taken and with what. Fried Oreo, for figuring out the image was taken in 2008, thus confirming it was old enough to have existed online when the Gravity Falls pilot was made and likely used by Alex Hirsch. These three also were the ones who managed to track down the location of the image using their search techniques mentioned earlier. They are the real heroes of this search and deserving of all the praise. I also want to take a moment to thank some of the other amazing people who helped along the way during this search, both during this one and the original 2021 search. A huge thank you to my friend Inner Element and Fizzy, who made some of the earliest remakes of the image that helped us early on in determining if the image could be real or edited. A huge thank you also to Fizzy for finding and sharing the original images they made their recreation with. A huge thank you also to my friend Linda Lynn, who back in 2021 found the Mount Hefty image that was our best lead at the time and also opened up the possibility that the image may not have been taken in Oregon or the Pacific Northwest area. A huge thank you as well to my dear friend N7 Spongy, who helped along the way with contact aspects of the search to moral support and bringing out ideas to help in the search. We couldn't have done this without you, buddy. And of course, I want to thank everyone on both the DadGFN server who helped us, and outside of it from Reddit to Twitter and other places who maybe suggested or aided in possible theories. I also want to thank Ian Whirl and Alex Hirsch for getting back to me when I asked them about the GF logo image. Even though they weren't able to provide the image themselves because they didn't have it with them, it was still helpful in us in the search overall, and I cannot thank them enough for that. This was not a one-man operation, and your help, all of you, no matter how small it was, is why we're here today. I've been in this fandom for nearly 8 years now. I've seen the good and the bad of it. I've seen and been through a lot of experiences. I've been there when Gravity Falls history was made, either by myself or my friends, or by other fans. And here we are again. A search many thought was impossible, and others never even considered. Now over. The image used in the Gravity Falls logo was taken in 2007 in France. For over 12 years, we've looked in awe at the incredible Pyrenees Mountains and never even realized it. But now we know. It just goes to show that there is a story to everything with Gravity Falls, even within its own logo. And with that said, this marks the end of this search, and another Gravity Falls mystery now solved. I wonder what else is left to find out. I've been DadGFN, and thank you for watching. Oh wait, wrong outro. Much better.